There are some buildings people work in. And then there are buildings people believe in. The glass tower was the second kind. It stood above the city like a monument. 62 floors of glass and steel rose above the city skyline, reflecting sunlight during the day and glowing like a beacon at night. People didn't just see the tower, they believed in it. Every morning, thousands of employees walked through its doors feeling lucky. Every week, investors poured millions into the company inside. News anchors called it the symbol of a new generation of business success. And at the center of it all stood one man, Raymond Cole. To the public, Raymond was a visionary, a self-made billionaire who had transformed a small startup into one of the most admired energy companies in the country. His company, Apex Global Energy, seemed unstoppable. Quarter after quarter, profits climbed. New offices opened around the world. The stock price continued rising. Everything appeared perfect. But perfection is often the most dangerous warning sign, because nothing in the real world is perfect. And neither was Apex Global Energy. On a rainy Monday morning, Raymond stepped into the executive boardroom.
Next year, we double our expansion. Singapore, Dubai, Berlin. This company is unstoppable.
The city stretched below him through floor-to-ceiling glass windows. Executives applauded. Investors smiled. A giant screen displayed the latest quarterly results. Record profits. Again. The room celebrated. But one man didn't. Marcus Webb, Apex's chief financial officer, CFO, and the only person in the room who knew the truth. While everyone else celebrated growth, Marcus stared at the numbers. Because behind the presentation, behind the applause, behind the confidence, the company was bleeding money. The losses had been growing for years, and now they were becoming impossible to hide. When the meeting ended, Marcus approached Raymond.
We need to discuss the pension reserve accounts. Not now. The losses are bigger than we projected. I said not now.
Raymond didn't give attention. Later. The pension accounts are getting worse. But Marcus knew something Raymond didn't want to admit. There was no longer anything to handle. The problem had become too big, too expensive, too dangerous. And somewhere inside the tower, the first crack had already appeared. The question was no longer whether the tower would fall. The question was how long it could stay standing. And on the 20th floor, a young financial analyst was about to discover the answer. What Jessica found that night would change everything. Because sometimes empires don't collapse from outside attacks. Sometimes they collapse because one employee notices a number that doesn't belong. Jessica Tran wasn't looking for corruption. She wasn't trying to expose a scandal. She wasn't even thinking about Raymond Cole. She was simply doing her job. At 29 years old, Jessica was one of hundreds of analysts working inside Apex Global Energy. Most executives didn't know her name. Most employees walked past her without noticing. And she liked it that way, because unnoticed people often see things everyone else misses. Late one evening, long after most employees had gone home, Jessica sat alone reviewing financial reports. Outside, rain tapped softly against the tower's glass walls. Inside, the office was silent. Only the glow of her computer illuminated the room. She compared one report against another. Then, she stopped. Something didn't make sense. One document showed employee retirement funds worth billions of dollars. Another report suggested large transfers had taken place. Jessica looked amazed. Maybe it was a reporting delay. Maybe she was reading it incorrectly. Maybe there was a simple explanation. But every time she checked the numbers, the gap remained. The money was gone. At first, she thought she had made a mistake. Then she checked again. And again. The answer never changed. Somewhere inside Apex Global, billions of dollars had moved, and nobody was talking about it. The next morning, Jessica approached an external auditor named Victor Stone. Victor was respected throughout the company. Calm, polished, professional. The kind of man people trusted instantly. Jessica expected reassurance. Instead, she got something else. She asked a simple question.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Where did the employee reserve losses go?
Complex restructuring. Nothing to worry about.
Where did the retirement reserve transfers go? Victor smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, just enough to make the conversation uncomfortable. Complex restructuring. Jessica waited. Victor didn't continue. The conversation lasted less than a minute. Then he walked away. But it left Jessica with a feeling she couldn't explain. Victor hadn't answered her question. He had avoided it. And for the first time, Jessica wondered whether someone inside Apex was hiding something. Over the next week, she dug deeper. The more she searched, the worse things became. Reports disappeared, files were locked, transactions led to other companies. Money moved in circles. Nothing made sense. Until one night, she discovered a folder that wasn't supposed to exist. A hidden archive buried inside the company's internal records. Jessica stared at the screen, her heart racing, her hands trembling. If what she was seeing was real, everything Apex Global had told investors, employees, and the public was a lie. But before she could understand what she'd found, a shadow appeared behind her. Someone else had entered the room, and they knew exactly what she was looking at.
You shouldn't be here.
You stole from them.
We borrowed time.
That's not the same thing.
It was supposed to be temporary.
People trusted you.
The person standing behind Jessica wasn't security. It wasn't an IT employee, and it wasn't a stranger. It was someone who already knew where the missing billions had gone.